The city never slowed, not for mistakes, not for anyone inside a small corner market. Adrian Cole stood at the counter, the sharp lines of his tailored suit matching the sharp edge of his voice. Still water, not sparkling. His tone was measured but unyielding. He didn't need to raise his voice. His authority carried enough weight on its own. The cashier, barely out of college, fumbled with the receipt, flustered. I'm sorry, sir, I thought... You thought wrong. Adrian interrupted, sliding the bottle back. And now you've wasted my time. Behind him, the line shifted with restless sighs and mutters, but Adrian never cared for the discontent of strangers. Precision was his rule. There was no room for error. And then, sir, could you be my daddy? Just for one day? The small voice cut through the tension like glass breaking. Adrian turned. A little girl stood there, perhaps 6 years old, with golden curls tumbling past her cheeks, and eyes so blue they seemed too large for her face. She wore a faded pink hoodie, mismatched socks, and a backpack nearly slipping from her shoulders. Before Adrian could form a reply, a woman rushed in, breathless, her face flushed with panic. "Lily!" she gasped, dropping to her knees to gather the child close. "Sweetheart, you can't just run off like that." The woman looked up at Adrian then, her braid falling loose, her beige coat worn thin. Fatigue shadowed her beauty, but strength was written in her every line. "I'm so sorry," she said quickly. "She blurts things out. She didn't mean..." "Yes, I did," Lily interrupted firmly, her little chin tilted upward. "Tomorrow is Daddy Day at school. Everyone's bringing their daddies. I don't have one, so I thought maybe he could help." Her tiny finger pointed straight at Adrian. For a man who thrived on control, Adrian felt every wall inside him crack. The bottle, the line, the meeting waiting uptown, all of it slipped from his mind. "We'll go," the woman said, tugging Lily toward the door. "Please forgive us." "Wait." The word left Adrian's mouth before he understood why. "What's her name?" He asked quietly. "Lily Dawson," the woman replied. "I'm Claire. I work afternoons at the library, nights at a diner. We're not asking for anything, she just..." Her voice trembled, misses something she's never really had. Adrian looked at Lily again. She wasn't hiding, wasn't shy. She held his gaze like it mattered more than anything in the world. "What about her father?" Adrian asked Claire. Swallowed. "He died when she was 2-car accident. She doesn't remember." Silence spread. Even the restless line behind him seemed to fade. "What time is Daddy Day?" Adrian asked. Claire blinked. 10 a.m., but you don't... "I'll be there." Lily's eyes lit like Christmas lights. "Really?" Adrian gave a single nod. "Just for one day." Her smile was so radiant it pierced through him like sunlight on cold glass. And Adrian Cole, the man the world called heartless, found himself smiling too. The morning wind carried a chill as Adrian sat on a bench outside the school. Claire was beside him, her hands tight around a flimsy paper cup. "She doesn't understand what having a father really means," she whispered, watching Lily skip along the curb like a tightrope walker. "She was too little when he passed. But kids, they see what's missing." Adrian followed the child with his eyes. Her crooked yellow ribbon bobbed in her curls with every bounce. "She's bright," he said softly. "She's everything," Claire replied. "I don't do children," Adrian muttered. "I know." Claire almost smiled. "That's why I can't figure out why you said yes." Adrian turned his gaze to her. He saw the fatigue, but also the resilience. "I can't figure that out myself," he admitted. Then Lily darted back, breathless. "Come on, it's time!" Adrian rose, hesitating only a second before extending his hand. Lily grabbed it without thought, her small fingers curling into his. And as they crossed into the school together, Claire followed, torn between disbelief and something dangerously close to hope. The classroom was chaos. Glitter, finger paints, paper crowns, a banner scrawled in crayon. Daddy and me, Adrian, stood out like steel in a sea of sneakers and fleece jackets. But Lily didn't care. She tugged him through every activity, her laughter ringing like a song. Then came story time. Lily climbed onto his lap without hesitation, handing him a homemade book titled in crayon, "My Daddy is a Superhero. Read it," she whispered. Adrian's throat tightened. But he began, his voice, so often a weapon in boardrooms, softened. carrying warmth it hadn't known in years. Halfway through, Lily leaned back against his chest. "You feel safe?" she murmured. "Like a real daddy." For the first time in a long time, Adrian Cole felt his heart ache. Through the window, Claire's eyes shimmered, and Adrian realized this child wasn't asking for power or wealth or promises. She wanted presence, and for reasons he couldn't explain, he wanted to give it. That night, Adrian invited them to dinner. The restaurant was small but warm. A corner table by the window set beneath dim golden lights, Lily chattered endlessly, filling every quiet space with her bright voice. She told him about her favorite books, how her goldfish made funny faces when fed, and her dream of becoming both an astronaut and a dolphin doctor. Adrian listened, silent at first. But as dessert was served, he finally spoke, his voice heavier than the air itself. "I had a family once." Claire stilled, her fork frozen midair. "My wife, Elise, my son, James. He was 6, curious about everything, always asking questions." Adrian's jaw tightened. "I missed his first school project, promised I'd make the next one, but I never did." They were on their way to school when a drunk driver. He exhaled sharply. "They didn't make it." His voice broke, softer now. "I missed every moment that mattered, and now, all I have is silence." The table fell into a sacred stillness. Claire's eyes filled, her hand trembling against the edge of her glass. Then gently, Lily leaned across the table and pressed her small hand to his cheek. "Maybe you weren't a good daddy before," she whispered, "but you could be one now for me." Adrian's walls collapsed. He pulled her into his arms, holding her like something irreplaceable. Weeks passed, and slowly, their lives intertwined. Adrian began leaving the office earlier. He learned to braid ribbons into Lily's hair, to redo shoelaces he tied too tight, to carry an extra hairband in his pocket just in case every night. He read stories about animals, about space, about monsters who brushed their teeth. His voices were terrible, but Lily loved them. She would curl into his chest and whisper, "One more page, Daddy." And each time, Adrian said yes. Claire tried. Not to hope. But every time she saw Adrian's hand resting lightly on Lily's head, every time she caught his eyes softening when their daughter laughed, hope seeped back in, until the day her past knocked on the door. Richard Hale, her late husband's brother, arrived unannounced. "I hear you've let some CEO play house with my niece," he said coldly. His suit was pressed, but his eyes were harder than steel. "That's not family, that's desperation. I'm filing for guardianship." Claire's stomach dropped. The courtroom was colder than the snow-covered streets outside. Adrian sat beside Lily, her tiny hand locked in his. Her feet dangled above the floor, too short to reach, but her presence filled the room. Across the aisle, Richard sat rigid, polished, exuding smug certainty. "This man is not family," Richard argued, gesturing at Adrian. "He's a distraction. He's known the child for weeks. I am blood. I can offer stability. What he offers is a fantasy." The judge's expression was unreadable. "Does love matter in this case, Mr. Hale?" Richard faltered. "Of course it matters, but love doesn't replace responsibility." Then, a small voice. "May I say something?" All heads turned. Lily stood, trembling but determined. She walked to the center of the courtroom, her hand still clutching Adrian's. "My name is Lily Dawson," she said. Her voice shook, but her chin lifted. "And I already have a daddy." The room stilled. "He reads to me every night. He makes mommy smile. He holds my hand when I'm scared, and he never makes me feel small." She turned to Adrian, her eyes wide with truth. "I don't want a new one. I picked him." Gasps spread across the benches. Adrian's throat tightened as he blinked against the sting in his eyes. The judge leaned back slowly. In light of this testimony, the demonstrated bond between the child and Mr. Cole, and the absence of a prior stable relationship with Mr. Hale, this court denies the petition. Claire's hand flew to her mouth, tears spilling Lily through her arms around Adrian's neck, burying her face in his chest. And for the first time, Adrian didn't feel like a man pretending. He felt like a father. Time moved forward, weaving them tighter together. One winter evening, Adrian led them to his rooftop garden. Fairy lights twinkled against the night sky. Snow lined the path like powdered sugar. A table for 3 waited beneath soft candlelight. Lily squealed at the cupcakes until she noticed the small box on her plate. She opened it to find a silver necklace, its charm engraved with one word, family, on the back. Forever. You taught me what family means, Adrian said softly. And no matter what happens, you'll always have me. Lily leapt into his arms. You're my forever daddy now, Adrian. Kissed the top of her head, then turned to Claire, pulling a second box from his coat. You walked into my life like a storm, he said, voice steady but tender. And somehow you made it a home. I don't want temporary. I don't want convenient. I want real. Will you be my family? Claire's tears fell freely as she nodded, trembling in his arms. Can I be the flower girl? Lily giggled. Adrian laughed softly, holding them both. You'll be more than that. 6 weeks later, sunlight poured through stained glass windows as white roses lined the aisle of a small chapel. Lily, dressed in ivory with a sparkling sash, scattered petals in clumsy handfuls, her proud smile never fading. Adrian stood at the altar, his usually steady hands trembling. When Claire appeared in her simple gown, radiant and sure, his breath caught. Their vows were raw and unrehearsed. I didn't believe in second chances, Adrian said, his voice thick with emotion, until I met 2 girls who made me want to be someone worth loving. I thought love meant sacrifice, Claire whispered, eyes glistening. But you showed me it can mean home. Lily stood between them, her small hands holding theirs tightly as if binding them together. When the ceremony ended, Adrian scooped her up. You chose me first, remember? He said with a tear-streaked smile. Best choice I ever made, she whispered back. That night, snow drifted gently outside their window. In the living room, barefoot and laughing, they danced without music, just the sound of their joy. They were no longer broken pieces, they were a family. And that was the story of a little girl's simple question that changed 3 lives forever. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive with fanfare. Sometimes it whispers through the voice of a child, through second chances, through the courage to believe that family isn't always the one you're born into. It's the one you choose. This is Echoes of Heart. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that remind us that even the smallest voices can lead us home.